Welcome, folks. My name is Kevin, and I want to thank you all for joining us in our latest Best of the Best webinar series brought to you by Novedge, the design software superstore. For webinar episode 53, we are excited to not only talk about ArchitTrek's project management, but to have the Director of Sales and Marketing, Caleb Morrow, on board to showcase project management's unique features. Caleb, whom you can also find on Twitter at Caleb Morrow, is a graduate of Louisiana State University with a marketing degree, as well as an MBA. With his experience in design and construction as well as project management, he enjoys helping his clients achieve their goals in a cost-effective and timely manner. For the next 40 minutes or so, I will hand over the podium to Caleb Morrow. If you have any questions, please save them for the Q&A after the presentation. As a heads up, we are recording this webinar live. So if you're going to miss this now, we will have this posted for free, as always, on our Novedge webinar series channel through Vimeo and YouTube. With that said, I will now turn it over to Caleb. Caleb, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good afternoon, y'all. I am coming to you live from the great state of Louisiana, and specifically in Baton Rouge, home to the greatest college football team on the planet, Louisiana State University. I appreciate each of y'all taking time out your busy day there in San Francisco area to attend this, and just to let y'all know I'm not just a Southerner. I travel, we get out, and I've actually been to San Francisco about a year ago as part of my honeymoon with my wife. We got married last year. So we've been there. We stayed in Berkeley at the marina, ate breakfast every day at Bet's Diner on 4th Street in Berkeley, and we're kind of jealous of y'all's awesome weather and beautiful scenery and overall clean air and good water. So that being said, I think we should probably just get in here to ArchitTrek. So what ArchitTrek is, before I log in and kind of walk y'all through everything, is ArchitTrek's history is it started as a design solution for an architectural firm in Baton Rouge for an in-house solution for managing their projects. They needed a better way to kind of get with internal and external partners on large projects, as well as contractors, consultants, owners, and manage the whole process as well. So it started as an in-house solution, and then about 3 years ago, it had grown to the point where they actually released it commercially. And from there, we've just been kind of blowing and going ever since. The philosophy behind ArchitTrek is three things. First is responsibility and accountability. And what we mean by that is the responsible parties during a project initiate the proper action. So a contractor initiates an RFI document or a submittal. A consultant initiates and submits the relevant mechanical or HVAC drawings, things of that nature. And because everything is about responsibility and accountability, it brings transparency to the process. So the goal of ArchitTrek is to bring transparency in that every team member can see who's responding to what, who hasn't responded, what has been submitted, what hasn't been submitted. And because everything's clear and right up front, it increases collaboration and communication to where when the teams talk, it's not about checking on document status or if something has or hasn't been submitted. It's talking about issues, problems, opportunities, and working things out that way. ArchitTrek is a software as a solution. We're delivered over the website, over the internet. So to access us, you go to our website, ArchitTrek with 2Ts.com, and in the top right corner you go to log in. Now there's two things y'all will see here. The first is the electronic bidding module. That's for contractors accessing ArchitTrek in the event a project is posted and bid through ArchitTrek. As owners or consultants, engineers, everybody else accesses ArchitTrek through project management. The first thing I'll tell y'all that's very nice about ArchitTrek is it's one username and login to access all of your projects. So I'm just logging in right now, and you will see for me did I not type in my password right? No, that would be embarrassing. There we go. I am attached to a couple different companies' projects right now, so I'm going to go to Demo and hit Continue. And so this is the first screen any user will always see when ArchitTrek is accessed. And what this is a project home. Me as the administrator for this account, I see every document submitted, who it was submitted by, date, time, and the relevant project. Then the upcoming events for the project I see here in terms of event name, description, start date, end date, and location. So the first thing any person would ever come to do when they get to ArchitTrek is they don't have a project. they would need to create a project. But before creating a project, they need to create users and security. How that's accessed is everything flows from this tab here on the side. To access security settings, they go to Administration, Security Groups, and they create a security group. And the purpose of security groups is because during a project, not every participant in the project should be able to see everything except for possibly the administrator, owner, and select individuals. Security groups are for the account as the whole. And security groups can have everybody in their security group or have just one user in the security group. However, a user cannot be a part of two different security groups. Now, all these different modules you see here, bidding and negotiation, construction, consultant design. If for a security group, nothing in consultant is selected, they will never see the consultant option show up here. Vice versa with these sub-menus. For example, if nothing is selected for ASI documents for that user, they would see construction, where I'm selecting scheduling here, but they would not see ASI documents. The second thing to do before creating the project is to create the users. And this is just you input their first name, last name, email address. You select if they're an employee or not. Their company's in there, you select the company. If not, you can add their company. You select the project you want to attach them to. You select their security group, and you title it. And when you save that, ArchitTrek will actually email them at the email address you entered here a notification saying you've been added, and you click a link to set up their password and access the software. To add a company, you just go to Administration, User Companies, Create Company. By the way, anybody that's not an administrator on the project will never see this tab here. Now, I've added some projects already, so I'm just going to select a project from my drop-down menu right here. I'm going to go to Sandbox. Actually, I'm going to change that here. I'm actually going to go to Playground. I apologize. So now I've selected Playground for the same, just as initially, but just for Playground, I see a list of recent documents, and I see a list of recent upcoming events. If you notice, I have more tabs here to choose from. Construction, bidding and negotiation, consultant, design. So if I didn't have any access to design in the security groups, I would never see this tab. So that's kind of just sort of the quick little basics of just getting started in ArchitTrek. Now, since ArchitTrek was started in an architect's office as an internal solution, it follows the AIA phases of design. So we kind of group everything by design and consultant together, bidding and negotiation, construction administration, and then closeout. And I'll kind of walk you all through each process here and sort of hopefully point out some differences that can help y'all. So we'll start with design. So for design, you have this nice little user interface here. There's a couple of defaulted folders here: elevation, floor plan, master plan, schedules, site plans. Now, as the user, as the administrator, you can rename all of these folders simply by clicking on it one time, right-clicking, and renaming it. I'll rename this one to Novedge. As well as you can create additional, what we call base folders. Simply go into File, Create New Base Folder. If I've selected Novedge, I can right-click and select New Folder, or go to File and Create New Folder. So now what you can set up the proper file tree that you would like for your design folder as well as your consultant folder. The design consultant folders work exactly the same way, have the same functionality and interface, just we separated them because we know consultants only need to see certain documents, whereas the in-house design firm or partners, if it's a joint venture between two separate firms, need to have access to a whole another set of information. So the first thing to think about with this is ArchitTrek is a virtual file cabinet for your job. We know most of y'all are probably using some form of AutoCAD and Revit in your office to work on the model, build the model, things of that nature. However, sharing information can be very tricky because files can get very large. ArchitTrek doesn't have a storage limitation, so you can add a 100 megabyte Revit file and share it with somebody, and that's not a problem to do. To simply add a file, you select the relevant folder. I'll go to Elevations and Perspectives, go to File, and add a new document. So here's where it comes into play. Software is only as good as the information the user puts into it. So you want to make sure you title it correctly. I'll title this one for Novedge Webinar. You click this button to add your file or files. You can select multiple files or a single file. If you select multiple files, all the title, description, comments will go for each file initially. If you add one file, just go to that one file. So I'm going to hit Browse, and you know what? I'm going to select this ArchitTrek Time and Cost Savings per Phase document. By the way, files are stored in their native file format. So if it's a Revit file, it's stored as a Revit file. If it's a PDF, it's stored as a PDF. If it's a picture, it's stored as a picture. If it's a Word document, it's stored as a Word document. So after I've selected that file, I hit Start Upload. So it uploaded, hit Submit and Close. Now if you notice, it's date and time stamp the document. So here's where we get into accountability and responsibility. You can tell when something was added. I'm going to add a description, test document for Novedge, comments for the greatest webinar ever. Now, normally, most people say, well, it's not a big deal getting the documents, but how can I share them? Normally you have to put them in somewhere and then email it to them, or compress it to a zip and email it to them. Here it's all done in one phase. You enter in all your information, and then you can select a contract group, which you can create in administration for users that you've already added, and you can select that whole user group, or you can just select an individual within the contact group. Now, if that individual that you want to select or notify is not in an existing contact group, as long as they're on the system, you can select them from the list here. I'm going to select myself, and I'm going to hit Save. So if you notice, the new document's been updated with the proper date, the file name. I grab my scroll bar over here. Shows me the size of the file, the author, if it's been checked out or not. The other nice thing about ArchitTrek is I just got this email. This email is telling me, hey, I have a new document for the project playground. It's from, and who, here it's to, tells me when it was created, file name, description. And then I can just click a link, and the link, because I have Mozilla as my default browser, opens up this nice little web page where I can click this document and access the physical file that was uploaded or downloaded. So it saves a lot of time as opposed to emailing, uploading, downloading. It's all done in one place. Now I talked about the tracking as well. So let's say I got this notification. I want to go in and make a change or comment on the document. I log in, Elevations and Perspectives, click it right here. So now it tells me who added the document, date and time. So again, it shows who's doing what, when. I can select Edit. And here's the deal. I can update the file, as in replace it or update it with the newer version. I can update the description. But what's nice is it keeps a comment history. So I'm going to put reviewed and approved. And now we'll hit update here. So now I've updated it, and here's the email I just got back. Again, if you notice, the subject is updated document as opposed to new document. So what this kind of comes into is how your workflow within your firm operates right now, either through manually sending documents back and forth or emailing them or uploading them to like Google Docs or something like that. You can do in ArchitTrek and track status and comments all in one place, as well as adapt to a paperless work environment. Because now a PDF can be created, it can be uploaded, shared, and saved. The other thing, and I'll cover this when we get to Closeout, ArchitTrek can export at the end of a project every document that's currently active at the time of export into a nice big zip file. So if during schematic design, if photos, site plans, comments, meeting minutes are all uploaded. At the end of that project, the firm, the owner, whoever, can get a great CD of every document photo that was uploaded and active in ArchitTrek. If a document's uploaded and then replaced, the old document wouldn't be a part of that export, only the current document in the system. So that's a little bit about how the design folder works. The consultant folder works exactly the same way. Same user interface, same layout. You can add subfolders. Everything is tracked by date, file name and description, size, the whole nine. And we did this for simplicity's sake. The goal of ArchitTrek, and I'll put this on the side as well, is we know you have a variety of people from a tech-savvy standpoint using projects and working on projects. Usually architects, engineers, consultants are pretty tech-savvy. Sometimes contractors and owners may or may not be as tech-savvy. The user interface we created, this bar is always here, this is your home navigation, is geared to where the least tech-savvy person in the team can pick up navigating using ArchitTrek because it's a very intuitive user interface. So the next phase I'm going to go to is bidding and negotiation. So this phase, where we're at is, design documents are done, everybody's approved, we have our approvals, we're going into bid the job. So most people can bid a job the old way in terms of they send it to a plan room or they pick up a bunch of plans in the office, they're checked in, they're checked out. There is the option to paperlessly bid the job through ArchitTrek. And so where this comes into is you go to bidding and negotiation and then bid setup. So bid setup kind of walks you through step by step how to bid a job. You have your project number that you inputted when you originally created the job. Same thing with the owner project number. Same thing with the project name. Now here's where we get into play. Before I go down this list, I'll show you. Before the job can be set out to bid or electronically, you have to have a check by all 4 boxes here. So we have 2 of the 4 done. If the job is private, we'll have to access it through a password. If the job is public, there isn't a password. In terms of fees, if the fee is a reimbursable, you can say, I, as the architect, will pay the posting fee and then be reimbursed that because we will invoice you right here. But let's say your owner doesn't want to pay for printing costs for bidding a job. This option can be selected, and whoever is invited from a contractor or subcontractor standpoint simply registers with ArchitTrek for a 2-month period. They have access to the plans digitally, both individual sheets and the full set, including specs and addendums. So here's the option here. Do you want them to be able to only download the file, send to a printer, or both? We never recommend letting the subscribers, and what we mean by subscribers here is contractors, view the bid tabulation and just kind of walk you through here, estimated construction budget, project description. We always recommend selecting these 2 boxes here. Allow electronic RFI submittals, allow electronic prior approval submittals. For 2 reasons we do this. Number 1, because then it gives your GCs and your subcontractors the ability to ask RFIs and prior approvals digitally during the bid process. And the advantage of being digitally is, number 1, they're time-stamped. So if there's any issues with the prior approval being sent in too close to bid submission, and then there's a question of if something was submitted, responded to in a timely fashion, you have a date and a timestamp right there. As well as, while y'all are going through your meetings internally, and let's say you're creating an addenda packet to go out, you can make sure that addenda addresses all your RFIs and clarifies that information. And so it helps keeps everybody on the same page and not let small details fall through the cracks. Furthermore, you just key in your bid location, bid contact information, regular contact information. Is there a pre-bid conference, the location? Will the bid go live immediately, or are you scheduling it? And there is also the option of here, electronic bidding required, yes or no. Because you might, because of how things are with the owner, say, you know what, we need the bids to be submitted in a sealed form manually at the office. You could do everything else and just select no. However, we do also allow for the contractors and or subs to bid the job electronically through ArchitTrek, and it functions as a digital sealed bid, to where until this bid due date occurs, the contractor can submit and pull back, but then when this time happens, it sends it all right then and there to the owner. And since y'all are on Pacific, we will, I think I'm going the wrong way here. We'll find, you can select your right time zone. Let's leave it at that so I don't get caught up. Now, once you do this, we've created the project, we've done the bid setup, we need to add our documents, bid negotiation, bid documents. So for drawings, we recommend submitting individual sheets for your A sheets, your M sheets, your E sheets individually, so individual specific sheets can be downloaded, as well as you upload and save a master zip of all your drawing sheets. Same thing for specifications. You can upload individual files or parts of the spec book, as well as upload a master zip of every single spec sheet on the job. The other great thing about the bid and negotiation through ArchitTrek is Addenda, because we all know addendas can be headaches. You don't know if people got it. You don't know when it was sent out. You have to email it to 20 different people or do a bulk email and hope it doesn't get caught in their junk folder, things like that. Here you go to bidding and negotiation, bid documents, Addenda. So I'm going to go to add a new Addenda. And if you notice, this little warning came up. It says, because you are adding an Addenda, a notification will be sent out to all subscribers, interested parties, and prime bidders attached to the project, alerting them of the Addenda. So I'm going to select yes. You title it, you give your description, comments, and the notification here is not the notification to the contractors bidding the job. It's a notification to people internally that an Addenda has been sent out. So you can notify the owner or the owner's rep, construction manager, and the principal of the firm if something's going out. And again, you can add the supporting files and then the master file in case the Addenda's numerous sheets. So you've done that, you've submitted an Addenda, you've gotten a prior approval request. You go to bidding and negotiation, prior approvals. And see, there's no records found currently, but if there was a record here, you could access it, respond, as well as you can print out all your prior approval requests. Same thing with subscriber requests for information here. So from that part, what I'm going to do is log out for a second and show y'all what the subscriber sees and how they access it for a second. So I'll log out and go to bidding login. So this is where the contractor or contractors would see when accessing the system. Apparently, my system's acting a little funny, so I'll just go back into Project Management and pull up a screenshot of what the contractors would see, so you get an idea of their user interface. Because again, it's geared to be very, very simple and easy. So give me 1 second here, and I apologize for this delay. In the interim, think about crawfish from Louisiana. They're beautiful, they're awesome, they taste delicious. I'm talking randomly while I pull up my great and handy document. So here we go. I apologize for that bit of silence there for a second. So here's what the contractor would see when they log in. Or if there's any public projects that they can bid on, they would see it all right here. Any projects they've attached themselves to they would see right here, as well as they can select additional projects, right? So let's say they actually select a project. They have to click this button right up here, Add to Interested Group List, to be notified of addenda, things of that nature. But all that information you keyed in shows up right here in the bid log. Bid date, is it electronic? Yes, they're using central bidding. The location, they can download the selected files, they can send it to a printer, as well as they can view who are prime bidders and who are interested parties. If they have, when they go to download files, here's a list of the addendas, the individual specification pages, or they can download all, individual drawing sheets, or they can download all right here. Here's what the request for information looks like. Date received, automatic. They'd enter their contact name, company name, phone number, email, enter in their request, comments, and the comments is what the architect would key in when they send it back to them, as well as they can attach any additional files, questions, things like that, any documentation. Same thing with prior approvals. It's just a little bit more comprehensive in terms of the data asked for because it's a specific prior approval. So that kind of very quickly covers bidding and negotiation. So the job's been bid, the general contractor has been picked out, and you've added the general contractor to the project. So the goal now is to manage the construction administration function, which we all know architects love to do. So we'll go to construction because this is where all the construction administration information is housed. Two of the biggest things we've heard at ArchitTrek that are issues for architects and owners of projects in administering construction administration is managing requests for information and submittals. So again, think of the process. The contractor's on here and is a user of philosophy behind ArchitTrek, responsibility, accountability. The contractor would be the person to initiate the request for information. So the contractor, he won't see administration, he won't see bidding and negotiation, he probably won't see consultant or design, but he'll see contract, construction. Goes there, he goes for request for information. So this is a list of all the RFIs that are currently out there with their impacts. It can be sorted by RFI number, received, description, impacts, status, the ball in court, as well as who the author is. But he has a new one to submit. So he's going to go to Add New. RFI number would be how y'all choose to number it. I'm going to go with dash, go with 000123. The status on the initial RFI is new. Date received is the date submitted. Here's the description. As a best practice, we encourage our owners and our subscribers to ArchitTrek to encourage contractors to put their whole RFI question in the description. The reason for this is when we go back a second, I show you all the print all button, and you print it out, you have a whole RFI list right there without having to have any attachments. So the description I'll put RFI example for Novedge. The ball in court is who they're submitting it to. This helps track the status and who's supposed to do something next with the document. So I'm going to put Caleb Morrow. By impacts are just electrical. Has it been referred to anybody yet? No. Has it been sent to the consultant? No. Has it been returned? No. Has it been sent back to the contractor? No. Put initial RFI for electrical, need response by 8/30/12. There's no CO number. Notification option comes in again here. Same functionality before. You can select a specific group or user within a group or an individual. Here's the other nice thing. There's a reminder feature to where I can say 1 day from today, every 2 days, I would like Caleb to get an email notification reminding him to go in and look at this. And the only way this gets turned off is if somebody goes into that document and physically turns off the reminder. The easiest way to turn that off, by the way, is on the number of days between subsequent reminders. You put that to 0, and you uncheck the person from notification. and then any additional files can be uploaded through the same file upload process that you've seen elsewhere. And now I'm going to go in and save this, because here's what's great. So I created the RFI, but man, I need to notify the guy that I just created the RFI. Wait a minute. Me, since I was in notification, just received this email. I have a new request for information in Playground. Here's the number, here's the status, date received, description, impacts. I can click this link, and just like before, gives me everything I need, the form, and then if there were any supporting files, I could select the supporting file. Notice the comments were created by me at 1:31 p.m. Central Time, because I am in Central. So let's say now I, as the PM for the project, I was just notified I have an RFI, and I need to send it to the consultant. So for the ball in court, I'm going to go to my example right here, 000123. It's my ball in court. I'm going to hit Edit. So now it's no longer new. Now it's under review. Description, RFI, it is electrical. I'm referring it to consultant. The ball in court is going to consultant. It was sent to the consultant today. I'm going to note, just to know I touched it, reviewed, and sent to consultant. And let's say now you would deselect yourself, and you'd want to notify the contractor and the consultant. So you select that, or you might select them from a group. I'm going to hit Save. And if you notice, see now it's under review. It's consultant, but still shows me as the author. So once the consultant gets it, the consultant can go in, edit it, say red line, attached, approved, or whatever comments would be relevant. They'd say, well, I returned it today, and I'm going to notify the PM again. So the PM knows to send it to the contractor. And they hit Save. And so now I have this is the email I got, modified request for information. So with that modified request for information, now I can go in, okay, the consultant reviewed it and approved it, and send it on over to the contractor. Now, if y'all remember, I said for the best practice for the contractor to put as much information in the description as possible. The reason being is you can display all these by new, under review, resolved, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, structural, architectural. I'm going to go with new. So these are all my new RFIs, and I can go to Print All. It's going to print all of them out. Number, received, impact, sent, status. So that way if you're having a construction meeting, you can make sure you cover all your RFIs right then and there. Now the last thing I want to make sure I mentioned with this is if y'all notice on these emails that I sent, there's this option here for Outlook currently, all versions of Outlook 2003, 2007, 2010, where you can archive emails that occur outside of ArchitTrek into Outlook. So if an owner and a consultant are emailing back and forth, I'm sorry, an architect and a consultant, that email history can be archived. And if it's an internal email, only employees can view that email. If it's a general email, everybody on the team can view it. And I hit Archive. And so it'll think for a second here. So now it's complete. And how that's accessed, contacts, email history. And there's the email, date and time, all of that information, which is great. But let's go to one that has an attachment. The attachment's also there as well. So the last thing in the project, because we don't have time to cover every single thing here, is Project Closeout. So for Project Closeout, the substantial completion certificate's added there. The punch list So that way the contractor and everybody can stay on the same page, can be uploaded and added for every walkthrough, as well as warranty items. Typically, customers of ours will keep a project active for as long as the warranty period is there, keep everybody on the same page. That way, if they're in the event there's a warranty claim during, say, the first year, that the ladies' room toilet is not working, that warranty item can be created by the owner, owner's rep, or architect, contractor notified, they go out, they take care of it, and everything is done. So, unfortunately, y'all, that's about my 40 minutes today. You know, I didn't have a chance to really go through everything, but you know, we feel that it's a great program. It's very malleable for how your firm works. The hard part is for the firm to think about how they're doing things manually to move it digitally. But us, Novedge, we're here to help y'all make those transitions to a paperless and truly digital environment. Thank y'all so much for your time. And then, Kevin, I guess I'll turn it right back over to you here for Q&A. Kevin? Hey,
All right.
Yes, I'll mention while Kevin's getting everything straight. Okay, Kevin, I'll let you. I was going to mention the free trial, but I'll let you bring that up.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Caleb, for that awesome introductory presentation. I actually thought about crawfish, and I really, really want some after this. But for those in our audience who are curious to learn more about ArchitTrek's project management, feel free to head on over to ArchitTrek's own webpage at www.architrek.com, and that's with 2 T's. You could also follow Mr. Morrow through Twitter at Caleb Morrow, and also you can check him out at his LinkedIn profile. In addition, sorry about that, guys. In addition, you can also jump on over to Novedge's website to nab yourself a copy of Project Management. In addition to being the leading online design software superstore, we at Novedge have the best prices around with a staff you can call or chat with anytime. If you want to try Project Management 30 days for free, ask our staff and we'll be happy to get that started for you. I would also like to draw your attention to another bit of information that is to your benefit as well. Here at Novedge, we have created several online communities to foster collaboration and communication between design professionals. At vectorworking.com, you have access to all the latest industry news and videos. Furthermore, we encourage community members to help each other excel in their careers through discussion and submitted content. It is free and easy to sign up, and on top of that, a short weekly newsletter with the latest buzz are yours to enjoy. Now, I do remember that I mentioned that there is a Q&A, so if you have any questions right now, feel free to type them into the chat window, and I will let Caleb know, if anything, what you guys are interested. So go on right ahead. Caleb, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do this. Are there any questions? All right. If there won't be any more questions, if you guys have any questions or concerns, comments on any way that we can improve this webinar, just please let me know at kevin@novedge.com. I would also like to mention that in our next upcoming webinar, episode 54, Render Plus Systems own Al Hart shows us how to use iRender NXT for SketchUp to produce photorealistic renderings from 3D designs. This webinar will be geared towards beginning users, particularly architects and builders who want to design with SketchUp. Registration is free, but space is limited. So for more information on how to sign up, check it out at novedge.com/webinar/54. And if you want to rewatch this episode and all our other previous webinars, this and past webinars can be found on our Novedge webinar series channel through Vimeo and YouTube. So stay tuned. Thank you again to Caleb Morrow for this presentation, and thank you guys for watching. Ciao.